The views on this program do not reflect those of ONTV or its board of directors. Welcome to OAA Now, your home for Oakland Activities Association news and information. Here's your host, Sammy Taramina.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It is the 11th of January already? And we're here in the studio once again, OAA Now on a Monday. Sammy, how are you, buddy?
I'm hanging in there, it was a crazy week. I mean, like crazy regional final round. We had one team having to go 4 hours up to northern Michigan. Another team pulled off a miracle on 34th Street. Type of comeback, and then another team looked really dominant this weekend.
Yeah, so playoffs are in motion. We've got some stuff to talk about that. We also have the other teams that are in action or going to be in action this week.
Volleyball this week. I mean, we got Clarkson Grand Blanc.
Yeah, that's going to be a great matchup. And we have swimming and diving. The finals are finally here at Lake Orion High School. And I believe so far we have some good news, too, about one of the football games in the semifinals going to be carried by Fox Sports, right?
Yeah, Fox Sports Detroit. We're going to talk that game. We got some very interesting games, of course. We got the football roundup, of course. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. Here's the football roundup for the first weekend of the regional final round.
Absolutely. Here we go, the roundup. All right, as Sammy said, we had some football over the weekend, and boy, did we have some crazy games.
Yes, we did.
We did, to put it mildly. One was kind of expected, the other one not so much, and a turnoverville. So let's start with some of the good news. Oak Park continues their magical run through the playoffs this year, topping Livonia Churchill 30-23 in a miracle. Oak Park.
This had a ton of drama.
Well, hey, that makes for a good game, right? So so we have here, the write-up that you sent me here. It said, Oak Park trailed 23-20 with less than a minute remaining. Livonia Churchill decided to give Oak Park an intentional safety to change field position, right?
Right. I don't know why they do that.
Hey, it happens sometimes, and sometimes the gamble works. So James Burnley found Armani Harris for the game-winning 41-yard touchdown pass with 41 seconds left in the game. So they give him the 2-point, the safety for 2 points, get a better opportunity to kick off to Oak Park to try to pin him deep. Did not happen. Couple plays later, the miracle pass, 41-yard touchdown, diving catch in the end zone.
Yes.
And Oak Park took the lead with 41 seconds to go.
Yes, and that was crazy. I mean, like, I'm looking at it on Twitter. I'm saying to myself, are you freaking kidding me? When Harris made that catch, I'm going like, oh, my God, what the heck happened here? And I can just imagine Coach Greg Carter and those kids. My God.
Well, and that goes to the run they're making through this postseason, right? I mean, it's fitting. It's I want to say it's surprising that happened, but it's really not. I mean, these guys are really believing. They're playing. They obviously bounced back from the layoff and executed an amazing play with just 41 seconds to go, and took the lead and won the game 30-23. Some of the statistics you've thrown out there, we had Burnley had 3 touchdowns, 2 in the air, and 1 rushing, along with 2 2-point conversions.
Yep, that was huge.
Kayshawn Jack. Yeah, go ahead.
He's changed. I'm telling you, Burnley's changed. He's a changed quarterback. I'll tell you, from what he was in the red compared to the postseason, totally different animal.
Hey, when you have confidence, sometimes you play play out of your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have, where are we at? Kayshawn Jackson had a 21-yard touchdown reception on 4th down and 13. So it was right? So, and Buana Miller had 29-yard rushing touchdown. The Knights forced 3 turnovers. Gavin Brooks had 2 passing touchdowns and an interception for Churchill. So just an amazing finish to that game. They move on to the semis against
Warren De La Salle. We're going to talk that game in a couple minutes.
Interesting game. It's an interesting matchup. Excuse me. It is Monday. All right.
It is Monday.
So the one game we all picked that the OAA would have a W in. It happened in a big way. West Bloomfield 52 over Romeo's 14. Donovan Edwards went off, had 4 rushing touchdowns, 2 for 10 yards, 1 for 85, and another for 8, and a total of 245 on the ground. And he was just stellar in that game.
Well, look at what he's done. I mean, Donovan Edwards is probably, in my opinion, the best running back in the state of Michigan. That's not even close.
Well, he had 10 touchdowns over the last 2 games?
Yeah, 10 touchdowns against 2 quality good teams in Sterling Heights, Stevenson, and Romeo. I mean, 2 MAC-ranked opponents.
What do we have? Yeah, absolutely. And 10 touchdowns over the last 2 games, which is a crazy statistic. Alex Short had a 22-yard passing touchdown to Michael Williams. Marcus Carter had a 48-yard touchdown run. Elam had a 97-yard. Mackay Elam had a 97-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Jake Ward, 32-yard field goal. Jordan Hoskins had 12 tackles to lead West Bloomfield on the defensive end. Logan Rolfs had 122 passing yards and an 18-yard passing touchdown to Gorlowski for Romeo. So just a dominating performance by West Bloomfield. The Lakers are firing on all cylinders as we expected. Yep. And they move on to face another tough competition in the semis.
And you got to go down to Belleville. It's not an easy game.
Yeah, down to Belleville, too. Undefeated Belleville.
Yep.
All right, last game of the weekend for the OAA football crew. Traverse City Central 50, North Farmington 22. North Farmington led 10-6 at half, but was outscored 44-12 in the second half. The Raiders had 5 turnovers, including 2 that went for touchdowns and 1 on the kickoff. Justin Whitehorn, 26 carries for 135 yards and a touchdown. And it was a Jacob Busamra was 17 of 30 for 234, which is respectable, with 2 passing scores and 4 interceptions. It looks like the turnover bug was kind of their undoing in this matchup against Central.
Yes, and it was. And I think when you look at the difference, Traverse City Central's got a very good defense. Of course, you have 2 all-stars in that defense, but with North Farmington, the thing was they had to play it simple. And in that second half, I mean, like, things just fell apart, went south. I mean, they were leading 10-6 at halftime. I mean, like, they had everything changed in that middle of the third quarter.
And one of the worries we had, Sammy, was the weather up there. You never know what you're going to get just off the lake. And it seemed like it was not a factor. It was just a little bit cloudy, and the turnover bug bit them, and that's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote, and I think we're going to go more in depth to this game. I think that the difference was with the turnovers and the fact that Traverse City Central played. They played well. I mean, Traverse City Central, they're a good football team for a reason. I mean, they're going to score points in bunches, and when you look at what happened in that game, obviously, and they did. So,
well, we have here, what do you have right down here? Des Blanche, 32-yard touchdown reception, and Aaron Rice, 15-yard touchdown reception. Justin Bryant had 2 interceptions for North Farmington. 2 interceptions for North Farmington.
Turnover fest in that game.
Yeah, a lot of turnovers. Josh Bunram, 4 touchdowns, 3 passing, and 2 interceptions. He had a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Austin Bills had a rushing touchdown, and Carson Berto had a rushing touchdown and interception for Central. So that is the roundup for this past weekend. Football playoffs. All right, so that's the roundup. We are here to digest what the heck happened during those football games. It sounds like a lot went down, Sammy.
Yes, it did. But I want to talk Oak Park. I mean, I just wrote a column on Oak Park as well. I mean, like, to describe the run they've been in. When you look at the Knights, obviously, when you look at Oak Park, their journey, of course, let's not forget, this team was 0-6.
Yes.
They were 0-6. They were getting beaten up in the red, playing against the likes of Clarkson, Lake Orion, Oxford, South Nursing Tech, and West Bloomfield. And then this program under Coach Greg Carter has had a history of playoff collapses.
Yeah, and not only did they look bad, or I mean, they were losing, but they didn't look good doing it. I mean, they looked pretty bad. It was, I mean, they
were coming off a 47-0 loss to Clarkston, and
yes,
no momentum heading into Grosse Pointe South.
Who saw? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but I really think the difference for Oak Park, to be honest with you, is Rayshon Benny. I can't tell you how important Rayshon Benny has been for the Knights. I mean, he was hurt during the season. He was hurt, got into a car accident, had to have knee surgery. You know, they thought Oak Park, Carter and the crew thought the season we moved to spring, but they moved it to fall. So Benny had to recuperate during the season. Now, what has helped Oak Park in this run, you know, was the fact that everybody made the playoffs.
Yes.
Everybody, you know, if it was the current format, they would not be able to make the playoffs. So when you look at what Oak Park's path has been, I mean, they've had to go to Grosse Pointe South, had to go to UD Jesuits, had to go to Wyandotte, and then Livonia Churchill.
Yeah. Tough road, man.
Yeah, we're in a black helmet, white uniform, red elbows, and red pants. That's what they've been wearing the entire playoffs.
Well, because they've been on the road, right? I mean, they've been the underdog for each game they've played, correct?
Mm-hmm. And when you look at Oak Park, I mean, like, this team really has, I mean, Jay Burley's been a different player. Damian Prim's been a different player. They got Kashawn Jackson's been a different player. Amari Harris has been a different type player in this postseason. And, you know, Oak Park is playing with nothing to lose. I mean, they're playing with absolutely nothing to lose. They want to be the first team to pull off the worst to first, you know, kind of mantra, you know, this is the first regional title in school history, right?
No,
you know that?
No.
You didn't know that?
Of all the teams they've thrown out there that were so good, this is the first one.
This is the first regional title in school history.
Wow.
I wrote on the column, of course, Oak Park's playoff losses from 2012 to 2019. They lost 10-6 to Wyandotte in the regional final, lost 14-8 to UD Jesuit in the district final. That's in 2013. 2014, they lost 14-13 to Southfield High School.
Close. In
the district final. 2015, they lost 38-14 to Southfield in the first round. 2016, they lost 34-7 to Trey Martin Luther King in the district final. 2017, they lost 14-7 to Warren D. LaSalle in the regional final. 2018, they lost 35-7 to Warren D. LaSalle in the district final. And then last year, they lost 12-6 to Farmington in the first round. So
a lot of close games in that run there of losses. A lot of close games.
Here's the thing. Coach Carter's had a lot of great teams. He's had a lot of great teams come out of Oak Park. But the problem was, you know, it's been the postseason disappointment. You know, so now you're looking at, okay, they've had a miserable offseason. They had miserable regular season. So when you look at Oak Park, Oak Park's run, this time around, I mean, like they had a miserable regular season, but the postseason they're turning it around. So that's huge, you know.
And that speaks to like the depth of the team. I mean, like there's other teams we've seen through the OAA and through the playoffs, other schools that I mean, how many players played for North Farmington? You said 28, right? So,
that's deep.
Yeah, and it's something that we talked about before the season got underway when we had our parade of OAA coaches in here talking about their teams and looking forward to the season and such. As they were talking about, you know, having depth. If you have depth, you have room for injuries and that sort of thing. And with Oak Park, you can see that injuries just decimated them and probably took a lot of their confidence away going into the regular season.
The injury to Benning was huge. The injury to Benning was huge for them. I mean, like during the regular season. But when they got him back and they said they were whole now, they were healthy, they said, okay, let's make a run here at this thing. We can do this. And the fact that they have what they've done and all this on the road, you know what I mean? Not even at Oak Park. I mean, like, this has all been on the road. You know, Oak Park has had a ton of frequent flyer miles this year. They've had to go to Clarkson, had to go to Lake Orion, had to go to Oxford. They've had to go. Then they had to go in the regular season, in the postseason. Grosse Pointe South, UAD Jesuit, Wyandotte, and then the Bowling Churchill. Of course, think about that. Going through much of Detroit, that is not easy. What they've been doing, and they're playing with nothing to lose, and that's how Oak Park's been playing. I mean, you look at, of course, at this team, and they're fighting for each other. They're fighting for each other, and that's the bottom line here.
Yeah, and you can tell, and to be able to pull off these W's the way they have been over the last, I can't say several weeks, but we'll say several games here in the playoffs, is that they're finding that there's another gear or another. I don't know, man. Like, sometimes you have to dig really deep to get to believe in yourself to the point where you're like, okay, let's go for it. A 41-yard touchdown bomb on third and some change with 40 seconds to go and see what happens. That's called trust in one another, right? I mean, to throw that ball up and say, go get it, and for Oak Park to come down with it, like you said, a diving catch. And to dial that up from the sidelines, by coach, it's what I would love to sit in the pregame huddle with those guys for that pep talk, wouldn't you? And then the halftime. I'd just love to be a fly on the wall with that team as that game was unfolding or just before kickoff. I just love to see what was going on in the atmosphere with those guys because it's got to be just amazing. I mean, just hyper focused of what they're doing because if you're not focused, you're not doing the things they're doing.
No, and I remember seeing Oak Park week 2 against Lake Orion. I remember that. I remember talking to Coach Carter saying that they were struggling, trying to find identity. I told them, just hang in there, stay positive. I mean, I had a feeling. To be honest with you, I'm going to admit this. I'm going to admit this on there.
You're not going to say you saw this coming.
I'm going to admit this. I had hints that this team was going to have they were going to knock out Grosse Pointe South. I didn't expect them to make this run, but I had hints they were going to knock out Grosse Pointe South. So, but this run Oak Park has made is just absolutely insane. If they can get by, and if they can get to Ford Field, think about this. If they can get to Ford Field, that would be absolutely insane to see a team that started off 0-6 and to get to Ford Field would be just crazy.
Yeah.
We got a very tough pass, though, with Warren D. South coming up. We're going to talk about them in a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, like you saying, I mean, with the change in the format of the playoffs, right, this year, because of all this mess we're dealing with, it's got to be the first time ever, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's the first time ever. I mean, now this opens up the Oak Park's run is certainly opened up a debate. I mean, should everyone make the playoffs? I mean, it would be very interesting. Like, let's say the MHA was very successful with this format, and say, okay, give everybody a chance to make a run in the playoffs. If we had the current 2019 format or last year's format, Oak Park would not even be in the playoffs right now.
We wouldn't be able to enjoy this run they're on and continue to, support our football teams. Just having this story for the season of COVID, it validates everything that the coaches and the players and the families and everybody has been saying about sports, right? During this time, it's got to be uplifting. It's got to be just a jazz. I mean, just an amazing time for those who are following these guys back at Oak Park and the whole city and everybody just getting behind this squad. It's just we've never seen anything like it before.
We've never seen things happen where a team that was left for dead like Oak Park was make this incredible run where I mean, this is, I don't think anybody can ever duplicate this ever again. I don't know in the season if Oak Park were to if Oak Park were to get to Ford Field, it's gonna be. I'm gonna be going like, man.
I mean,
Are
just
you
to get
kidding
it,
me?
just to get in the building.
Yeah, just
I mean,
to get in the building.
it's the one thing, like you said, it doesn't. This is gravy at this point. They're playing with house money. Like I've never
Playing
seen.
without the lose.
Yeah, they keep coming up aces, man, and it's amazing, and it's been a ton of fun. Let's move on. Let's move on to West Bloomfield.
Yeah, this was a team that I expected would do some damage. 52 points. Again, Donovan Edwards looked dominant. 245 rushing, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, but West Bloom, let's not forget they got others too that could do some damage as well. In the last 2 weeks, in the postseason, in the last 8 weeks, last 8 opponents West Bloomfield went up against since that overtime loss to Clarkston.
Yeah.
They have outscored their opponents by a combined 323 to 30.
Wow.
Including a 115 to 20 mark in the postseason. I mean,
only allowed 20 points in the postseason.
Yeah, 20 points in the postseason. I mean, so when you look at the Lakers' success, I mean, like, they're scoring at will. I mean, Diamond Edwards has been a huge factor. Alex Shorts has done a very good job as a play call, as a game manager. Jordan Nealon's had some good games as well. I mean, like, but they're going to need a whole lot more if they can knock out Belleville, though.
Yeah. Because, Belleville's, they know what they're getting into with Belleville, undefeated coming into this game this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And they know what West Bloomfield has. They've played them before. They've beaten them.
They played them twice. They beat them twice.
Right? So, like you said, this is third time's a charm, possibly?
Yeah. Well, I'll go over my picks in a little bit.
Yep.
But I think when you look at West Bloomfield, their success, I mean, like, of course, a lot of people, and I look at West Bloomfield when they took on Sterling Heights Stevenson, when they put up 63.
Yeah.
Edwards had 6 touchdowns in that game. I mean, a lot of people were very impressed with West Bloomfield at that game at Runkle. You and me were not surprised.
No.
But I didn't expect that score, but we weren't surprised that Donovan Edwards would put up that crazy type of stat line.
Yeah.
I mean, like, but West Bloom is a team that's not just Donovan Edwards. There's others that could do some damage too. That defense is really good over there, down in the swamp. I mean, that defense is really good. And then you look at, of course, the playoffs path West Bloomfield has to go through, of course, knocking off 2 MAC red teams and Sterling Heights Stevenson and Romeo. They also knocked off Utica Ford and Troy as well. So, so when you really look at West Bloomfield, their path, I mean, like, really early on, not as strong. And then when they got to Sterling Heights Stevenson, they made a statement. And, and then when they knocked off Romeo was coming in riding with confidence. But West Bloomfield just really proved those doubters to rest when it came to Romeo.
I don't know if there are any doubters going into the Romeo game. I know Romeo to earn that spot to go up against West Bloomfield had a turnover explosion right in the previous game and
against Stony Creek, yes.
Right, and that wasn't going to happen with the Lakers. I mean, they control that ball, and you hand it off to Edwards, and it's in secure hands.
Mm-hmm.
And a balanced attack against Belleville is kind of what's in order. At least I think so. Coming up, they need balanced attack.
Right, they need that against them, and of course, I know last year's game with Belleville, they were up 22-0, and then things just fell apart. They gave them 27 unanswered, and they're going to need that balance. Of course, let's not forget. I mean, like, for West Bloomfield, for them, and of course, they've been to Ford Field before, but the last 2 years it's been Belleville has kept them out of going to Ford Field. So for them, this is the test.
Yeah.
This is going to be the test for them. And for West Bloomfield, for them to get to where they want to go, which is Ford Field, they have got to get past Belleville. And that's not going to be an easy task. They've been down there on the road to Belleville the last 2 years. Lost both games. This has got to be the game where they can get where they got to get by the Tigers. It's not going to be an easy game, but we know Belleville's got a very good athletic quarterback in Christian Drew Reed. On film, he's not the but there's a reason why he's the MHA state best passing leader for touchdowns. There's a reason why he is, and he's got a good release. Can get by pressure. He can throw it.
Obviously, he sees his receivers. He's good vision.
Yes, he does. He's not a real big guy either. I mean, he's not a really big guy either. So West Blues are going to have their hands full going up against a very good Belleville team. And Belleville's been killing opponents as well. They put 69 and Belleville's been putting up some real sick numbers, of course. Outscored the last 8 opponents by combined 474-60. Including a 177-46 mark in the postseason.
Very similar to the Lakers.
Very similar, yes. And they got Bella's got some very good players as well. Of course, they got 2 very good wide receivers in Jerome Johnson and Tyree Lockett. They got a good running back in Kobe Johnson. And then their defense has been very good this year as well. Of course, they got a very good lineman in Damon Payne, who is ranked the second best player in the state behind Donovan Edwards. And then their secondary with Miles Roser and Charles Wilson. Wilson had two interceptions last week against Detroit Cass Tech, both picking back for touchdowns. But they got 4 very good linebackers. I mean, Cameron Dyson, Aaron Alexander, Azam Boyd, and Deshaun Green. But for Belleville, this has been their biggest problem. For Belleville, this has been their Achilles heel. It's been the state semifinal round. The last 2 years, Belleville lost in 2018 to Chippewa Valley, 28-16 at Athens. And then when they went to Howell last season, they gave up a touchdown late in that game where they lost 22-19. It was a diving catch for a touchdown to Sealit for Brighton in that game where and Belleville just didn't have a lot of answers in that game against Brighton. So
you definitely have the 2 heavyweights going against each other, and you'll be throwing some haymakers this Saturday.
Yeah, I expect there will be some haymakers.
It should be a good game, and we'll do the picks later, like you said. So let's get on to what happened up at Traverse City Central. We had hopes that it would be a tighter match, and for the first half it was. And then the turnover machine turned on, and there she wrote. That's all. That's kind of fell apart.
Everything changed when Busandra connected to, I believe it was Des Blanche. Blanche didn't fumble the ball, and Traverse City Central took it back for a touchdown. So that's when everything changed. And everything just started falling apart for North Farmington at the seed. They had 5 turnovers. Traverse City, and you got to give credit to Traverse City Central's defense. I mean, they played well. They played very good. I mean, they were very effective. North Farmington, looked good, very good early, especially with Justin Whitehorn. He was dominant early on in the first half. Was leading to 15 yards in the second half because North Farmington trailed so much. It kind of had that feeling of UD Jesuit all over again for North Farmington that second half, where they were outscored 44-12.
Yeah.
Busandra was pressured. He threw a couple bad balls. He threw a couple really bad balls in that game. He had 4 picks.
And once you get to the point where you're down so much, obviously you got to air it out because you need points quick, right?
Right, you need points quick.
So high risk, high reward, and the risk was faulty throws, and that's kind of what happened. It did them in.
That's what happened. I mean, when you look at, of course, and we know Traverse City Central is a very good football team.
Yes.
We know that. And it didn't help things for North Farmington having that 56-day hiatus. That did not help things at all for North Farmington. They had that extra week.
Yes, right.
Where they weren't playing. I just think that the difference in that game was Traverse City Central really found Traverse City Central had to weather an early storm. they had to with North Farmington, of course, controlling things early. They had a good start. I mean, like they had a really good start. But Traverse City Central, I give their coaching staff a lot of credit. Eric Sugars a lot of credit for following the game plan. I mean, like that they did against North Farmington.
They came ready to play, right? I mean, there were some turnovers on their side of things, but nothing that was so detrimental. And
right, North's case, that was a whole nother story. I mean, in the first quarter, in the first half, they had a 143 to 50 yard advantage on total offense. I mean, that's how the game changed. I mean, now I know, and also what didn't help things for North Farmington was there were a couple of mishaps. Of course, Massimo Scamatti is a field goal kicker. He missed 2 field goals. Jasper Beeler, he dropped an open touchdown pass for them a chance to take a 2-score lead. I mean, just some things you cannot have, and that led to what happened with North Farmington. You gotta, if you want to go on the road, especially in the Northwest Michigan, and pull off an upset, you can't afford to have drop balls.
Well, it's the playoffs too, Sammy. It's the playoffs. You have to be on point, and you see the teams that can have long playoff runs as they are focused. They take advantage of the scoring opportunities given them, and they convert. You can't leave points on the field.
You can't leave points on the board. I mean, because that could come back and bite you. And they did that to North Farmington. I mean, obviously, when you look at what happened in that game, I mean, if North Farmington were to go up 2 scores on Traverse City Central, they went up if they were to convert on those plays. I mean, there were several extra points missed. I thought their field goal kicker, Massimo Scamatti, he didn't have a really good game at all. I mean, besides he was 1 for 3 from field goals, missed at least 2 extra points. I mean, so I didn't think he had a really good game. But in the playoffs, you're right, they have to convert. And the bottom line is this: if you don't convert in games, you're not going to win them, especially in the postseason.
Yeah. So talking about the kicking game, just kind of thinking about it, and a lot of the kicking game is timing and rhythm, right? I mean, it all is. And
there wasn't a lot of wind out there,
but with timing and making sure that timing is right, and rhythm is right, it could be thrown off. I mean, if you're not if you've been off playing a while, that can have an impact on your rhythm and your timing, right?
And I think that 56 days really did hurt North Farmington. I think it really did because, the fact that Sideline was forced to forfeit the district final, and then, of course, and then having to go up to Traverse City Central, it's a 4-hour-long bus ride.
Yeah. It didn't help them. I'll just say it was not an advantage for them to do that.
No, it's not, and I think it's very difficult how that unfolded. But I thought that with Traverse City Central, really good. Their defense is better than what I give them credit for. There's a reason why the Traverse City Central's allowed more than 22 points this season. They allowed it on 2 occasions, one in this game and the other one against Midland, where they gave up 22 points.
Wow.
I mean, their defense was really good in this game, and it showed. Especially when you get outscored 44-12, in the second half. That's
and the takeaways. And it's amazing how, like you said, one takeaway can lead to momentum for the other team. Just not only a takeaway, but a scoop and score. It just flips the momentum. And if one team's already struggling to try to put points on the board and the other one gets them easy, that can really play with your head.
It led to a tailspin, you know what I mean? And basically what happened was, that one play in the middle of the third quarter changed the whole game. I mean, because I thought if there were a couple other things, too, we talked about earlier. But with North Farmington, And also what didn't help them was they got worn down. And, the lack of depth really hurt them in this game.
Yeah, 28 players total for North Farmington. That's
not good at all. That is not good at all. That comes down to program strength for me when you look at North Farmington.
And with 28, that means the guys are playing both ways, and the majority of them are playing both ways.
Yeah, you're going offense, defense, special teams. It's very difficult, especially in the playoffs where you can bring up some JV kids, to give them some experience. And, but I don't know what North Farmington's done. The last few, with their program strength, but that is going to certainly be a concern for them heading in the off season.
Yeah.
I do expect there will be some changes over there at North Farmington, though. Next season, of course, they do lose Busandra, they lose Whitehorn, but Rice and Beeler are back. Aaron Rice, I could see possibly changing the quarterback. He played quarterback at Walled Lake Western before coming over to North Farmington. So I think it'll be very interesting to see where Coach John Hursting and his team goes next year when you look at North Farmington football. There's going to be a lot of questions surrounding them next year. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens going forward.
So we got 2 left. They're moving on.
2 left, yeah.
We got the Powerhouse and the Lakers and the Miracle Kids and the Knights.
Yep.
And we're going to sit back and grab our tub of popcorn on Saturday because I believe both games should be televised in some fashion because it is the semifinals, right?
I know West Bloomfield and Belleville is on Fox Sports Detroit. I know that, but I think the Oak Park, Traverse City, the Oak Park Warren D. LaSalle game is on probably be on the live stream of Fox Sports Detroit app. But it's very interesting storylines for both both games. When you look at the matchup between with Oak Park taking on Warren D. LaSalle, of course, let's not forget here when you look at Oak Park's opponent, Warren D. LaSalle, this team really has had a very they had a turbulent offseason. They named a new head coach in Dan Ron back in March. Ron's been very successful coaching at Grand Rapids West Catholic. Let's not forget what happened at Warren D. LaSalle. The hazing scandal.
Oh yeah. Forgot about all that. That's so long ago.
Yeah, it was in remember that game with Groves where they were Warren D. LaSalle was supposed to play Groves, and all of a sudden you had that hazing scandal that forced them out of the playoffs. And then, you look at Warren D. LaSalle coming in. They're coming in with I think they were 2-4 before they got in the playoffs. They knocked off, they had a nice win against Wilshire Lake St. Mary's, winning 21-13. But their losses they lost to Birmingham, my brother Rice, 27-25. Lost to Novi Detroit Catholic Central, 13-10.
Whoa. Very
they
close.
They were blown out by DeWitt, 43-3. Out 35-0.
Oh.
Now in the postseason, for Warren D. LaSalle, they've outscored their last 4 opponents by a combined 174-23. So now that makes it more interesting here because Warren D. LaSalle has not played that type of postseason test as Oak Park has. We know about Oak Park's past, but Warren D. LaSalle really has not had that type of playoff pass. They do got some very good athletes, of course. At Warren D. LaSalle, you're always going to have very good athletes. Starting in quarterback and Brady Drogosh, he can play the RPO type. He's a running quarterback. He can also throw it as well. Brent Stanley's their best player. Very good at running back. He's also their team's punt returner. He had 2 rushing touchdowns against Warren Mott. And then their wide receiving core in Alton McCullum and Jacob Yannick. And their top defender, that's linebacker Will Beasley. So when you look at this matchup here, if there's one advantage Oak Park has in this game against Warren D. LaSalle, it's up front. And I think having Rayshon Benny back is going to be huge for them. Warren De La Salle, historically between these two teams, this is the third meeting between these two teams. Warren De La Salle won both meetings, 14-7 in 2017 at Wayne State, and then they were blown out at night, and then Oak Park was blown out at Night Valley, losing 35-7 in 2018. So Oak Park's got a lot to prove in this game against Warren De La Salle. I mean, both teams' stories are really interesting. Of course, we talked Oak Park exclusively early in the podcast, but Warren De La Salle, we know about that hazing scandal. The whole change. They changed presidents. They changed administration. They've changed coaches.
But having 2 wins on the season, right? That's what you said. 2 wins only coming into the playoffs. So it's a similar type of underdog mentality for them as well as Oak Park. So you got 2 of those quote unquote underdogs coming together.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the interesting story. Obviously, when you look at Oak Park, I did write a column on Oak Park. On the blog at Sammy Senecal and Timmy at blogspot.com. I just want to take a look at that. I want to put that on the ON TV blog as well.
Yeah. Send it our way if our listeners aren't aware. Sammy writes a column for Orion Neighborhood Television. It's on our website.
Yep.
And we have a news blog that's kicking, and we try to keep Sammy's articles up and running. He's a feature writer for us as well. So for more in-depth reporting and coverage from Sam, you can find it at orionontv.org. Just click our news feed link.
Yep, and back to this game. I think when you look at Oak Park's played a very tough schedule. They played a couple schools that had more than 2,000 kids. Not forget the big 3.
Yeah.
They've been on the road a lot. Now, Warren De La Salle's been on the road some as well, but when you look at this game here on paper, it looks to be an interesting football game between Oak Park and Warren De La Salle. The winner will take on Traverse City Central or Muskegon Mona Shores in the state final. So when you look at if it's Oak Park going up against one of those two teams, it'll be very interesting. But I just think it's going to be a real interesting game between Oak Park and Traverse City Central. And Warren De La Salle. Oak Park's got a lot to prove in this game.
Yes.
They've lost twice to Warren De La Salle in their history. Even though this is a different Warren De La Salle team with Dan Roan in there, Roan has done a really good job taking the Pilots making them into a contender. And especially in the postseason, they've been really dominant. Last week they blew out Warren Mott 45-3. They've outscored teams 174-23. This is going to be I think it's going to be a very tough game for Warren De La Salle, even though they're going to have home field advantage playing at Wayne State, going up against Oak Park.
Yeah.
So this game's got a lot of storylines in there. A lot of
it's one of those games where you watch Oak Park and the way they're going through the postseason, you would traditionally go, hey, that's a strong program. They're playing very well. They're going, they're just kind of they're tough opponents and they're winning and winning. But you don't know. This game to me is kind of one of those pick 'em, flip 'em. Take the coin and flip it and call it. But I don't know if we're doing our picks just yet. We're at 45.
Yeah.
But it's when does Oak Park stop being the underdog? Do they ever?
I don't think they do. I don't think they do. I think Oak Park's a team that could do some significant damage. They're playing with nothing to lose. They're playing with house money.
Yeah.
I
bet you they love the underdog moniker. They're like, yep. You don't think? I think nobody thought we had a shot, and here we are.
Yeah, I think the pressure is going to be on Warren De La Salle. Of course, but Oak Park's playing with house money. I know they're getting a lot of attention, but I think the pressure is going to be on Warren De La Salle this game. I really do.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have West Bluefield and Belleville. Of course,
which we talked about. These are two heavyweights. There's no other way to put it. You got the heavyweight match this Saturday. At
Jermaine Crowell versus Ron Bellamy, coaching matchup.
At Belleville, right? I mean, it's at
It'll be at Belleville.
Yep. And you've got marquee players. You've got D1 talent. You have programs that are, Belleville's, had strong program for years. And
they've had it maybe in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
West Bloomfield, we know, has been the standard bearer since 2013.
Right. So it's like you have this coming together of these two programs, and it's either going to be a low-scoring affair, right? Because two strong defense going at each other, but I don't think it's going to be 50 to whatever, No,
it's not. I think you got maybe high 20s, maybe.
Yeah. On both sides,
20s.
And it's going to be within 7 points. I think it could even come down to it could be the turnover battle. It could be just something silly like that. One turnover, two turnovers could tip the scales in favor of one team or the other.
I think Alex Short's the X factor in this game. He's the wild card. It's how he plays in this game. Now I know Donovan Edwards is going to get a lot of wildcat carries, but
yeah.
I think, Alex Short is the X factor in this game, because if he can come out and play like he's been all year long, being the perfect game manager, then that gives West Bloomfield another option, because everything, when you look at West Bloomfield's offense, has relied a lot on Donovan Edwards. And I'm not taking away from the other very good talented players like Dylan Tatum, but everything surrounds West Bloomfield, surrounds Donovan Edwards and what he does. I mean, they can put him anywhere. At receiver, you put him at quarterback, you put him running back. I mean, he's that good of a player. Now, last season against Belleville, West Bloomfield had a 22-0 lead, gave up 27 straight, lost that tough one. And then 2018, lost 13-10. I mean, so for West Bloomfield, the road for them goes through Belleville. For Belleville, they want to get by this round to get to Ford Field.
Yeah.
They feel they got a good chance to do it. We talked about the talent that Belleville has. We know about the talent West Bloomfield has. So you are right. This is going to be two classic dominant heavyweight fight. It's going to be a heavyweight fight.
And something that I don't remember us bringing it up. I know we talked about it prior to going on air. Is that the marquee players will be with their high school teams until the end.
Yeah, that's
right?
huge.
I don't know if we even brought that up, because there was some speculation, college classes begin next week across the state.
There is some that decide to keep their kids in. Belleville did not have a couple kids that they had last week against Troy Cass Tech play because they went to college.
But they are eligible to play. They can play.
They are eligible to play,
and the marquee names on both sides are playing.
The top two players, of course, Belleville's very good defensive lineman in Darrell Payne, and then West Bloomfield, obviously, with Donovan and Dan Payne, West Bloomfield with Donovan Edwards. Those are going to be the two marquee players to keep an eye on.
Right, because that was one of the questions of going, hey, college begins, and you're enrolled and you start your classes, and we found out that I guess it was over the weekend that he'll be here for the Edwards will be here for the long haul. Harbaugh said that he could continue to play, which I think is the right decision. I think that's great. You get a chance to, play in the playoffs with your high school buddies, the last time in your career. And
let them finish what they started. You know what I mean?
That's what it is.
Let them finish what they started, and I think that's a very good decision. Let's go to the picks for I do want to quickly preview Clarkston versus Macomb.
Let's do that real quick. Let's do let's do that.
Oh, yeah, Clarkston versus Grand Blanc. State quarterfinal take place Tuesday at Lapeer. Grand Blanc's had a really nice year, but they haven't seen a team like Clarkston. You look at that matchup. Clarkston's played a tougher schedule. I know Kelly Penner really well. We know about Claire Nowicki. They got others. as well. That's going to be a 3-game set. I think Clarkson
Really?
blows out Grand Blanc. Yep, I really do. Northern Michigan has had a ton of problems against OAA teams. Whether it's been Lake Orion or Clarkston, they've had a ton of problems against the teams from Oakland County. And I expect that to continue this time around. Now, the winner of that will likely take on either Birmingham Marion or Macomb Dakota. I think it's going to be Clarkson versus Birmingham Marion. I just think that it'd be a really interesting matchup. I think it'd be a good game. I can see Clarkson getting to the weekend, taking on maybe Lowell. I think Lowell's very good. I like Jessica Vertiesma very well over there at Lowell. So it's going to be very interesting. I think Clarkson could get to the state final this weekend. I would not surprise me if the Wolves get to the state final this weekend.
And for those who aren't familiar with where we sit with the volleyball postseason, the game coming up is quarters?
Quarters, yep. Quarterfinals, then semifinal, final.
Okay. And the plan for the finals is Kalamazoo again, correct?
In Battle Creek.
Or Battle Creek, excuse me. So, okay.
Yep.
So that's normal. That's where they usually play the finals. And there's a lot of familiar schools again. I mean, Marion, what can you say about Marion? I mean,
well, they knocked off Mercy. Farmington knows Mercy in the regional final at Athens.
Yeah. Solid squad.
Mercy was projected to win the whole thing.
Yep. So we've seen teams do that before in the past. Lake Orion, right? Teams that knock off the big bruiser unexpectedly and roll through the playoffs.
I think Lake Orion and Clarkson in volleyball, when the MHA does their district tournaments in June, I think they need to split Lake Orion.
I think so too.
I really do. They need to. I remember 2011 they did that. Lake Orion went east, Clarkson went west, northwest, and they met in the semifinals.
That was great. It's you have two programs that are so even potentially three in these first round of the postseason, and you're going, man, we're beating up on each other, and I'd love to split them up. That'd be great.
That'd be great.
All right, so let's go your picks, dude. We're at 52.
Let's look at these matchups here. Of course, we got West Bloomfield taking on Belleville. It's going to be on Fox Sports Detroit. When you're looking at this game here, we talked about the preview, the matchups, the star powers in here.
Yeah,
this is going to be a real interesting game.
The coaching names.
Yep. Got Jermaine Crowell versus Ron Bellamy.
History.
History.
Scoring, defense. We got everything.
Yep. And you got this MHA leader in career record holder for passing touchdowns at 132. You got two very good receivers, two very good running backs, a stout defense on one side. The other side, you got a very star-heavy running back, along with a very good supporting cast.
Absolutely.
So when you look at this matchup here, Ian, what are you looking at? And what are you looking at?
I see. This is one of those that you have two teams these are the two most equally matched clubs coming together at this time, right? At least in my mind. I just see them on paper going, man, you have strength against strength, weakness against weakness, and, how is this going to play out? I see
Belleville's won the last two against West Bloomfield.
They have. So they have some confidence coming in, but could they be overconfident? They're also playing at home, correct?
Right.
West Bloomfield on the road has been solid. And they've been the home team, right? They've been playing at home so far.
They've been in the swamp, but they've also been on the road, yeah.
Yep. So I would say that this is going to be a tight game, maybe 21. I want to say West Bloomfield takes it. They finally get the monkey off their back, and they win by 2. It's going to be close, but in the 20s. It's going to be very close.
Think 24? You think 23-21?
23-21, 24-21, something crazy like that. There's not going to be like 36 or 40 tagged onto this. I think it's going to be in the 20s.
I'd be shocked that there was. I'd be shocked that there was. If both defenses get swamped or ramped up, or I'd be really shocked if that happens. But But when I'm looking at this game here, and I'm saying to myself, okay, West Bloomfield, if they're serious about getting back to Ford Field, you have to go through Belleville. And I know Coach Ron Bellamy team. I know Coach Ron Bellamy, Zach Hilvers and crew very well. This has been the team that has kept them from their dreams. And you look at this game here on paper. Belleville has a ton of talent. They got a ton of athletes. But this is where the round with Belleville collapses. They did it last year against Brighton. They did it 2 years ago at Chippewa Valley. This time around, it's at home for them. They have West Bloomfield. They've beaten them the last 2 years. I don't think it's going to be 3 in a row for Belleville. I think the curse continues for the Tigers. I think the Lakers overcome that hump, win that game. I'm saying 35-28 in favor of West Bloomfield.
Okay. So a one-score game for the most part, right?
Yep, it's going to be very tight.
Yep. And we're both in agreement that the Lakers are going to move on.
Yes, to Ford Field.
All right.
It would take on either Davison or Rockford.
Well, I don't want to think about that just yet. You got to get on to one more game.
Oak Park and De La Salle.
Yeah, we're about 56.5. So quickly on your next pick.
This one's interesting. I think the run continues because I like what Oak Park's running with house money. I don't trust De La Salle's defense at all. I just don't trust their defense. I think Oak Park they're going to score in this game. They got to play mistake-free.
Yes.
So, they weren't that last week against Savonia Churchill. So, but I've got Oak Park in this game. I got it 31-21.
All right. I have Oak Park as well, just for every reason you were stating. They're on a mission. They are, like you said, their route through the playoffs has been a dogfight. It's tough, quality opponents, and they're battling for W's, and they've shown that they can pull out the big play when needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they're going to have to pull out the big play to win this next round. I'm with you. I think they win by 10. I think it's a 10-point W for Oak Park.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the case here. I haven't been impressed with Warren De La Salle's postseason schedule. I just have not. I mean, yes, they play in the tough Catholic League Central, but I just think at the end of the day here, just how Oak Park's been playing. I know both teams did not play perfect. Did play mistake-free football last week. But with Warren De La Salle's case, it was a blowout, and then you look at Oak Park's case of dramatics. Yeah. So so I've got Oak Park as well. You got Oak Park as well.
I do. By
Several
10.
of our yep. It's 3-3 when you look at picks this week. We do big picks every week.
Yeah.
I put yours on the blog as well.
Oh, you do?
So,
Oh,
yeah,
great.
So, yep. So we'll see what happens going forward.
Last statement for OAA Nation for the day.
We'll see what happens going forward. Of course, stay healthy, keep masking up, and and seems like we're turning the corner a little bit.
Yeah, we should have some basketball to talk about pretty soon.
Yep, I just released my basketball previews. If you want to take a look at them, they're Sammy Semicolon at Sammy Semicolon to me at blogspot.com. Want to take a look at them.
Awesome, and we'll have our schedules and hopefully televising these basketball games coming up. All right,
Yep.
Thanks, Sam. We'll see you next week, buddy.
You too, my friend.
That's OAA Now, produced by Sammy Terramina, and the views on this show are his and mine alone. Tune into those games this Saturday. Should be classics. We'll have all the reporting on it next week on OAA Now. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week. See ya!